Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, March 12th, 2025. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there. Hello, Mr. Chris Bennett.
Steve, good to see you, man.
Good seeing you too, brother.
Hope everything's going for you going good for you in New York. We've had some warm weather the past few days. Got out yesterday, did some walking. And I'm having issues with walking right now. So we didn't do too much walking. But it is time. And maybe I can get the little four-wheel electric scooter going. And I can drive that thing out a few miles.
And the old George Costanza, little buggy there.
Yeah. Or maybe I need to get me a hover round. I've got some electric wheelchairs, but not the hover round. You remember that commercial?
It doesn't even hover.
Yeah, grandma out at the Grand Canyon. That's what I need.
Just a little further back, ma'am. Just a little further. Oh, now that's a picture.
Oh, Lord. Oh, don't throw grandma off the canyon. But the temperature has been nice.
Grandma off the canyon.
How's the weather been for you?
Today was a little chilly. It only reached the high 40s today, mid to high 40s. Yesterday, we hit 70.
Yeah. Yesterday
was gorgeous.
Yesterday and today here has been nice t-shirt weather finally. So, we're getting there. It's getting closer.
Well, we were definitely in t-shirt weather yesterday. Today, not so much. I don't even know what the weather's looking like tomorrow, but let me see if I hit this button, it'll give me the weather. Of course not. Let's see. Nope. So I don't know.
Well, I was expecting some rain, after all that nice weather, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes, sir. So anyway, let's I inhale at the wrong time.
Oh, yeah. You go ahead and out. I hate it when something goes down the wrong way. Man can't breathe and swallow it.
Anyway, let's get on with the, roll call.
Yeah.
And first in tonight was Mitch Hargrove. Hello, Mitch. And, of course, Jen. Jen's got a new job. She works till 9, but she'll check in when she can.
Right. Good.
Pete H. Good to see Pete. Sandra Piper. Hello, Sandra. Yeah. Sean, good to see you, brother.
Sean, welcome.
Robert Denduven, hello, Robert. Pete H. in the house. Angel Nolan, hello, Angel. Walter Kroll, hello, Walter. Gary Johnson Sr., howdy. And Jay Carey, that's who's.
Hey, good to see you, man.
That's who's.
Go ahead, just
there we go.
Get it cleared up there, bud. Take your time. Is a big? I noticed on the graphic there, is Bigfoot riding a camel or thinking about riding a camel? Or
no, it's just that it's Hump Day.
Oh, okay.
And a camel has a hump. Remember the old Geico commercial, Hump Day?
Yes.
Mike. What day is it? It's Hump Day.
Woo, little slow, but I'll get there eventually.
That's why we got the camel in the picture.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
But anywho, so today, sightings roundup Wednesday, and we're going to recap a few of them notable sighting reports that have come in, notably that we were able to discover since the beginning of the year.
Okay. These are 2025.
These are all 2025.
Good.
We have 3 sighting reports, 1 article. Let's hit the first one here. And again, I just skimmed through these, so I really don't know the veracity of these, but they're all so February. Okay. Okay, so on February 16, 2025, there was a sighting in Maine. Too bad Don Gummel isn't here.
Oh.
The Maine sighting occurred on private land surrounded by conservation areas, 2.5 miles north of Kenyon Hill Preserve in York County, Maine. The witness reported finding a series of strange tracks in deep snow during a day snowstorm, totaling approximately 7 inches of snowfall with a thick crust. The tracks, approximately 7 to 8 inches apart, were followed for about 150 feet till they became unrecognizable or not consistent with moose or deer. The area, comprising 30 acres of hemlock forest surrounded by 500 acres of trust land, apple orchards, and crop field, is near several conservation areas and wildlife refuges with abundant deer, coyote, bobcat, bear, and an occasional moose. The investigator, by the name of Ontario Richardson, noted that the tracks suggested a very tall bipedal creature, much taller than the average human, and hypothesized that well, I don't understand that, but anyway, so that was a trackway find in the snow.
These were found in the snow.
Damn it! I can't even mute this.
Oh, there you go. You're muted now.
Yeah, now I don't need it. I hit the mute button, and what happens is, and this is a really bad thing about Stream Deck, which I don't like. Now I got this bar open that I can't. There we go. What I don't like about the Stream Deck is, like, if I'm scrolling on this page and I need to hit mute, it doesn't do anything because I'm clicked on this page. It won't mute my.
Oh,
so it's kind of stupid.
Needs an update.
Oh no, it's just stupid. It's very aggravating at times because the whole purpose of having a Stream Deck is so I don't have to use the mouse to mute. Right. But now I have to have the mouse to click back on the page I'm using, which is stupid. That's a hotkey button. It should work.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, I don't have any fancy stuff here. I'm still working on my old dinosaur fourth generation.
You're probably better off because had I just used the mouse to hit mute, I would have muted.
Yeah.
So sometimes the old way is the best, I guess. I don't know. So that is sighting number 1. Again, without seeing any. Thank you, Jay. I was on Bigfoot and Beyond with Cliff and Bobo. Got asked a litany of questions about the my new books, and I appreciate that, Jay. And I think that interview went really well. I'll be doing Doug Highcheck show, I believe, on the 19th, which is a week or.
About a week.
About a week, yeah. So I may not be. We may not have a Wednesday show because I might be doing Doug's show. I'm not sure if it's the 18th or 19th because there was some confusion originally. But again, just a reminder: 15th, another few days from now, Squatch Detective's Guide to Bigfoot Investigations goes on sale on Amazon. I'm very happy to report that there are lots of great words about the book that just came out, which is, of course, Bigfoot, A Scientific Examination.
Yeah.
And people have been raving about that book, which is really, really a good thing.
Good.
And then again, April 5th, the all-new What Would Sasquatch Do? Volume 2 is coming out. That one will be coming out as well. So again, we take a very deep dive look into primate behavior and how that relates to Sasquatch. So got quite the bookshelf going, of course. And one other thing I did, which a lot of people don't know, is that I updated the cover to the Sasquatch Playbook. So if you haven't got your copy of the Sasquatch Playbook, it's now also available in hardcover as well as softcover. So
Love the hardcover books. Those are great.
they're heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Well,
God.
that's you're not really carrying them around too much. Well, you might.
I'm getting my workout. These are all the new hardcover books right
Yeah.
here. I mean, quite the library going here. So
Yeah, I like the one the new book with the psychology of Bigfoot. I like the hardcover edition of that. It adds a lot of black in with the pink background. I love that.
I also changed the style of book cover as well. It was
Mhm.
originally in flat. Now I got or matte, what they call matte print.
Yeah.
I changed that now to glossy print.
Yeah, I like it better too.
Yeah. So
glossy is nice.
right. Oh, good deal, Walter. He says his new book arrived today.
All right.
Hey, there's Nikki. Nikki's in the house. Oh, Nikki. Yeah, so very, very excited about all those books, and they're coming out good. Of course, we got a lot of stuff, as Chris just saw, or just before we got a lot of interesting things and a lot of big things coming up over and it's not just short-term stuff. This is long-term stuff. So really it's gonna get exciting here in a few more months. So and I am super stoked about that. So anyway, that is our first sighting for the day. Our second sighting comes from Oregon on February 28th, 2025. Jackson County, Oregon. There was a reported encounter off Parker Meadow Road near Butte Falls at 11:52 in the evening. During clear skies and fair weather, it was about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. The witness woke to elk running less than 100 yards away, followed by 3 distinct wood-on-wood knocks, 1 second apart from the same direction. Over the next few minutes, additional sets of wood knocks were heard, moving away quickly through a tangled clear cut. Estimated impossible for a human to cover the ground that fast in pitch black conditions. The witness spent a sleepless night, felt uneasy the next morning, and left quickly, reporting no other witnesses. So this area is a mixed conifer forest with an elevation of about 3,800 feet.
That's interesting.
So, yep. So
remember, Curious Cryptid Steve said that 3 knocks meant go away.
That's right. and the elk were sure going away. Not 3 times on the oak tree if you want to.
I'm not certain I would have felt comfortable to go ahead and camp out after that. I think I would have probably just.
Yeah, but if you're 3,800 feet and pitch dark.
Yeah, that'd be hard to get out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just stay put until,
there for the duration.
Yeah. Had a sleepless night, he said. Oh, that's interesting, but still not a Bigfoot. Yeah. But here we go.
We would have been up all night, telling campfire stories until the sun come up. That would be not a night to sleep for me.
Yeah. So now we get to the good meaty one. We saved the best for last. Now this one came from Center County near Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. Involved a young man attending Penn State University who requested anonymity. The encounter occurred at the west end of Gamelands 333 on Spring Creek, parked along Rock Road under I-99, crossing the creek to woods at around 6:30 p.m. in pitch darkness due to thick, tall pines. The witness heard a wood knock at 6:10 p.m., described as a firm tap like a bat on a tree southwest of his position. Then he caught a creature over 7 foot tall in the spotlight 40 yards away with a medium gray face, lighter gray wispy hair, pronounced brow ridge, sunken eyes, thin-lipped mouth, rounded, blocky chin, no visible ears, sloped, rounded head with a tuft of hair, and massive bulk, double the biggest bodybuilder. Quotes.
Mm.
The creature was holding a tree with its left arm and holding a tree with its left arm. So right arm on its upper leg. So his right arm was here. Viewed for 2 seconds before hiding. The witness freaked out, called for a friend to help, passed through thorn bushes to the creek, and returned to his vehicle. Covers the state game lands 333, covers 1,200 acres of rolling forest terrain with fields. Primary game species. Primary game species includes deer, turkey, squirrel, grouse, pheasant, and small fur-bearing animals near several parks and forests. The investigator, BFO investigator that was there, found the witness earnest and credible, noting the ecological context of northern limestone and Dolomite Valley with hickory forest, white pine, beech, birch, sugar maple, and Canadian hemlock. So
this one was gray.
He said the medium gray face, lighter gray wispy hair.
That's interesting because those reports are pretty few and far between, the gray ones and the white ones. Normally it's always a reddish brown, which reddish brown or black, and the reddish brown seems to make up about 90% of all sightings. But to have a grayish, of course, we don't know. He could have been talking about the skin color of the face.
Yeah, he said it with a medium gray face, lighter gray wispy hair.
Right.
Pronounced bowed, sunken eyes, thin-lipped mouth, round, blocky chin, no visible ears. Very, very descriptive on the face. And but what concerns me is that he saw it for 2 seconds before it hid.
That's a lot of detail from 2 seconds.
Right. That's my only concern about that. But then again, you see it, and what ends up happening, if anybody has the psychology of Bigfoot, what we worry about sometimes is, okay, you've seen it. Now your mind is filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
Right. So, and of course, when your mind starts filling up the blanks, what gets embedded into that is a little bit of anthropomorphism.
Yeah. Right.
So
you got brain trying to make sense out of what you saw.
Right.
Yeah. Hope you're feeling better, Mary.
So I think I think there are some good details in it, but 40 yards away, that's 120 feet. So in a spotlight.
That's a pretty long distance to see detail. For me, I've had a similar thing happen, and I couldn't see any facial detail at all.
Right.
Oh, I wouldn't know, Jay. I can't remember back to the early 80s.
So I think it's really, really important to, look at all three of these types of encounters that have been reported that have made, any note that, they could all be either like the last one. One's pretty hard to say that was a misidentification or that was something else.
Right. Mary says maybe he has photographic memory. It's possible.
And he must have 2010 eyesight. Because I don't know, he doesn't give an eye color. He doesn't mention, but what gets me is the thin lips.
Wow.
You know, thin lips. That's
some really good eyesight.
no ear. You know, no ears when you're that far away. I mean, ear would only be about that big, you know, in your eyesight from about 140 yards away.
You know, it's possible, you know, that he had a sighting, and then while he's mulling it over in his mind afterwards,
The mind may be filling in some details from what he had seen. Right, and that's huge.
But in reality, I don't think we're you know, he wouldn't be able to see like that unless he's looking through binoculars. Then maybe.
Right. One of the things, you know, that stuff that I would normally cover in interviews after they come out with that, with like, so have you ever heard of Bigfoot before? Well, yeah. What shows have you watched? You know, they say, oh, I watched Finding Bigfoot all the time, and I watch Expedition Bigfoot. Now you got to worry that some of the biases from watching those shows have imprinted on the memory of the sighting report.
Yeah.
And that's huge to, you know, kind of tell the difference or get the difference fixed between that. So, yeah, that would be huge to take care of. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this lately. Yeah.
Well, Jay Carey says, isn't there a period of time where details sincerely reappear after a stressful event? I can see lips and ears at 100 feet.
Well, you can see lips and ears at 100 feet, but we're talking this is 120 feet. So this is still 20 feet beyond that. 40 yards, 3 foot per yard. So 40 times 3 is 120. So it's 120 feet away.
I cannot see lips and ears at 100.
And obviously, it's a student, it's a younger person. They may have a bet, but I still think that there might be some mind filling in the blanks because it was only observed for 2 seconds, according to the report. Right, viewed for 2 seconds before it hit.
That's awful quick, you know, to get so much detail.
Not only are we dealing with distance, but we're also dealing with the time constraint issue. And
now, you know, Mary mentioned the fact that he could have photographic memory. It's possible, but it's highly uncommon too.
Right.
That some guy with a photographic memory has a Bigfoot sighting.
And you have to understand too, you know, if Bigfoot's not in his wheelhouse, that, you know, how did that 2 seconds go by? So, you know, it would have, before he really recognized what it was, it would have been gone.
Right.
So I don't know.
To be the honest take is, if it had been me and I had saw something move and I got a glimpse at it for 2 seconds, the only thing I would probably be able to tell you is maybe it was hairy.
And bipedal. And bipedal.
If I got to see it moving away off.
You might get like, okay, it had a pointy head. It was kind of tall. It was kind of, you know, like my juvenile that I had seen. I had only saw it for a few seconds at best.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you its facial features. What I can tell you, it had long reddish brown hair and it ran on 2 feet. But I can't make out the details of the hands or any articulate details from it. And mind you, I was only about 40 feet away.
Yeah.
It wasn't even for that. So it was like 2/3 the distance closer.
Right.
And maybe a second or two longer.
Well, Finding the Trackway says, could adrenaline rush cause an effect? Like when I fell, it took seconds, but to me, it felt like a lifetime.
Well, yeah, and that's why it even makes it weird that it only lasted 2 seconds. Right. So I understand getting that indelible impression in your head. Right. Because I've been there. You know, the little one running away. But I've trained myself, you know, and of course I I'm a trained observer for years. That's all I did for a living was watch and watch
Right.
and watch and observe and surveil and all this other stuff. So I'm a very well trained person to say, okay, I can't let my mind fill in there. This is what I had seen, no more, no less.
Right.
Other people will try to, their minds will try to fit in the pieces, especially if Bigfoot's not in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And that's my only concern here. And what I would like to know is his background in knowledge of Bigfoot. The fact that he reported this to the BFRO indicates to me that perhaps he does have some knowledge about Bigfoot. That's why he went to the BFR to report it. So he must have watched. Maybe he didn't too. Maybe he just typed up Bigfoot on the web and BFRO came up because it's high up there on the Google ranking and it'll say submit your report. That's what he did. So it's really there's a lot of unanswered questions here.
Well, if does it say anything about him? Did he make a video or anything? Or I guess there wasn't time, was there? Well, I was thinking if he had like a video that he could have zoomed in.
No,
and-
there's no video. In fact, all he had was a spotlight.
Well,
but the fact is he requested anonymity. So that's on the plus side. He's not looking for fame on this.
right.
So I do believe he saw something. I'm just, I'm just a little sketchy on that's a lot of detail for a couple of seconds. I'm not saying he hoaxed it.
Right.
I'm just saying that perhaps his mind filled in some of those details. And that's one thing that as an investigator and as a researcher, when we hear these reports, read these reports, we must be not skeptical of, cognizant of.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what he says. We'll leave it at that for what he says it is.
Right.
But keep in the back of your mind that it may not be 100% accurate. It may be 60% accurate.
Exactly. Nobody is saying that he's lying.
Right,
We're
exactly.
trying to figure out how you get that much detail in 2 seconds.
Right. And to take your time and write a detailed report like that, and the same with all three of these reports. They all are very well written, very descriptive of where they were, including, exact directions to the location. There's no vagueness. They all give a time and a date and a place. They all give the details of what they were doing before and what they did afterwards. So,
Hey, Grasshopper. Good to see you, man.
So I have to take everything with a grain of salt. And in this case, without interviewing that person or any of these folks, I don't get a feel for what's real or not. I can't. I'm only reading text.
Yeah.
Well,
I tell you, the ones that really interest me are the ones that say they found snow tracks. But
right.
I don't know why they never seem to follow them. Or they do follow them and they just say they lost them or something. It's almost impossible to lose something that's you're tracking in the snow unless it's been like, maybe the snow's been on the ground and maybe melted away. So I like the snow track deal. I just don't understand why people don't follow those tracks to their conclusion.
Right. Yeah, well, he did. He said they kind of petered off into some unrecognizable stuff, which is, yeah, I mean, the first two cases can be anything, right? Again, we don't know what the weather conditions were. When I deal with tree knocking, when somebody says, "Hey, I heard these tree knocks," what was the weather? Where were you? What was the weather? Pull up the weather report for that day, because I'll tell you what, on a windy day, you can hear trees bumping each other. They sound like tree knocks sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be cognizant of anything to rule out the rule out the remarkable, which would be that a Bigfoot was responsible for it.
Yeah. Jay says, I agree that without an interview, it's sketchy. Yeah. But I have made similar observations accurately in 2 seconds.
Right.
Just can't rule it out due to detail. Is yellow flag agreed.
Hey, and that's a great way of putting it. It's not a red flag; it's a yellow flag.
Right.
Like, there's some things I'd like to revisit.
Yeah.
Or things I would like to see visited by the investigator that was not. And maybe it was, maybe it was to the person that spoke to him. It just didn't get articulated in the report or the written report.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's John Strawdog 1. Welcome, John.
Welcome, John.
Because these big guys can move along at a good pace. Hey.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That juvenile was, it was getting out as soon as it heard me get up and start unzipping my tent. It was on the move. That's why I only saw it for a few seconds. And I was like, oh, no, I didn't see what I just saw. And then the next day, all the other, little discoveries were found. So,
right. You're, I don't think the average person is going to have when one of these creatures decides that it's been seen. And it decides it's going to move out of the area, you got about 3 steps and it's pretty much gone. Yep. It's like that song, "Give me 3 steps, mister, and I'll be out the door."
Give me 3 steps. Bill says cold and warm days can cause those wood knocks. Actually, just cold days. I've often said on the show and on the podcast that when I used to live up in Middle Grove, I used to be surrounded by a lot of very thick, big trees. And you would walk out on a 20-degree night. I take the dog out for his little trot, and you would hear what sounded like tree knocks. And what it is the trees are contracting and expanding and contracting and expanding because of the getting colder. They start to contract. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. Cold makes everything contract with the exception of water, which makes it expand.
With on a cold night when it's below freezing in the forest, the least little bit of wind at all can move the tree, and you'll hear the bark split, and it makes a heck of a pop.
Right. Yep.
And you'll be it'll fool you. You'll think, oh, something hit a tree. No, not in every case. It's just natural.
I would be more. I would be more, and the other interesting thing is that, at 6:10 p.m. described as a firm tap, like a bat onto a tree southwest of his vision. Right. He then caught, but it didn't say what direction he was spotlighting, and that same, I would have written, well, was in the same direction, or in an opposite direction or in another direction in relation to that tree knot.
Right. Well, my nephew had relayed an encounter he had coon hunting years ago, and they heard a knock. Their dogs returned and were cowering at their feet. They didn't want to go coon hunting. They wanted to go back to the truck. And they heard a knock that he said it sounded like 2 2x4s slammed together, just one big crack. And they left after that.
Well, but again, you can always say, what you have is a cacophony of just circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
Because even though, that could have been a tree might have a branch might have fallen or broke. Not completely and banged into another tree branch and made that sound.
Well, like 2 baseball bats.
Yeah. Without actually, in this particular instance, the one that was from Pennsylvania, he heard a tree knock, and then shortly thereafter, he gets the fleeting glimpse. Now, again, going back to the psychology of the thing, without interviewing the person, you'd have to really kind of delve into it, because if he does have a biases towards a Sasquatch, right? You hear this noise, now you start shining your light, and then you happen to see something. Did he happen to see a shadow or something else, or even a bear? And because he heard that tree knock, being predisposed that it's Bigfoot, boom, he sees something large and
Yeah.
black, and
Yeah.
automatically it's a Bigfoot, and his mind starts, not intentional, not a hoax, but
No.
his mind starts playing those tricks on him,
Yeah.
which can happen.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different key points, and people think interviewing a witness is easy. It's not. And if you don't understand some of the psychological components that come with this, there are so many things that can be either overlooked or that can solve it, or overlook that can help confirm it.
Right.
And
Somebody that's not been exposed to the Bigfoot documentaries and shows, if they're out in the woods hiking or camping, whatever, and they hear a big tree knock, they're going to probably say, "Well, what was that?" Big,
and again, this is February 19th,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So this is a portion of time where the weather is cold.
right,
So that tree knot could have been something completely separate from what he
yeah,
had observed. Or it could have been the catalyst for what he observed. He
yeah,
hears a tree knock, now his adrenaline starts going up. That's what we call mass hysteria or hysteria. Is now, there's a Bigfoot out here. Oh my God, there's a shadow. And automatically your mind goes, that's a Bigfoot. So
Well,
it
I
does
happen to
happen.
be of the opinion, though, that if you hear one loud knock or a large branch crack or break one time, then you better start looking around. I think that they
Right.
use that as, and I don't know, that's just a theory, but I think they use that as a warning to the other ones, a natural warning without, grunting or something like that.
But then again, is it a warning, or is that just anthropomorphism on our point and thinking it's a warning?
Well, you got to look at it this way. It could
For
be
all we know, they could be knocking on the tree. They can be knocking on the tree because there's a coon up there in the tree they want to eat, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or there may
Could
be a
be
squirrel or a varmint on the tree that they want to eat, so they bang on it.
it could be a
We
coincidence.
don't know. We assume it's some sort of communication between the both of them because that's kind of what we would think we would do. Well, we're not talking about us. Animals do, different creatures do different things, and there's a whole chapter um in What Would Sasquatch Do Volume 2 where
Mhm.
I write about actual primatologists accidentally putting anthropomorphism into the actions of certain primates where they
Right.
were later to be found incorrect because, and that was related, the reason why they gave it that particular reason at first was because of anthropomorphism. But at least they admitted it. Said, nope, nope, that we were completely wrong about that. We just assumed because that's what the way our line of thinking is. But, and they were doing it for this reason, not that reason. And you know what? I'm just saying, I don't disagree with you there. Anybody, I do believe it's a form of communication. I actually think it's the way they geolocate with one another. Perhaps. I don't know. Boom, I'm here.
Well, that's just an observation that of a detail that happened prior to an encounter,
Right.
and that seems to be repeated in other encounters. So I tend to think that once they spot you in their area, there will be a loud crack or a loud stick break. One,
Right.
and I don't know. I theorize that it's to let the other ones know that, hey, there's humans in the area, or watch your six, or stay hidden. I don't know.
But then again, people have heard
I'm not-
tree knocks mile from across a
Yes,
canyon. How would they know they're there? And why would they signal all the way across a canyon when the humans are over here?
right. Yeah, I don't think I don't
I
think tree knocks have
I
anything to do.
truly think, to me, it's a way they geolocate one another. Boom.
Mhm,
And now, if there's another one in the area, they know to move towards that way
mhm.
because that's the way remember they're primates, so they're social creatures.
Yeah.
The only really solitary primates out there are the orangutans. They're kind of like living this, they like living the solitary life. But they do have to get together once in a while to make other orangutans.
Yeah. I don't believe they're as solitary as some people may believe they are.
Now,
I think
Roker says
they have an
distraction. Again, that's anthropomorphizing it. I don't think they create distractions. I don't think they would create a distraction or a diversion because for oh, there's a human. Let's create a distraction.
Yeah.
That's the way we think. You know, you have to understand that when you deal with animals with lesser reasoning skills than us, a lot of it balances on the energy used versus the energy needed to either one, escape a situation. You know, if they see, and this is why I don't think it's a warning, because why don't they just, whoop, you know, scream? Why don't they just howl? They're giving away their position, whether they tree knock or they scream. Right. And they got to know that we know what tree knocking means because we sit there and go, here's a tree knock. Let's get a tree knocker and bang back. Right.
Yeah.
So do I think it's a form of communication? Yes. What it means, I have no idea. I happen to believe it's geolocating. I happen to be in a situation in Kentucky at Land Between the Lakes where there was some tree knocking going on. We had all heard it. We had gotten back into the camp. And the tree knocking was to say our 2 o'clock if I was facing 12 o'clock.
Right.
That's where the tree knocking was going on. And it was at some distance. And we had noticed that there was some activity, human activity, like somebody had heard something.
Right.
Because there were flashlights going out and people looking around at our 7 o'clock. Right? So I sat there and I go, and I'm at the point where I know, where I believe I'm in between the tree knock and something else. And I believe that the tree knocking was actually them just geolocating, saying, I'm here, come towards me. Boom, boom. Right.
Right.
And there were several knocks. There wasn't just 1, 2, 3. There was about 4 or 5. So I decided to retreat out of that area. And when we got about 150 feet, 150 feet away from that area, we heard something very heavy-footed. Boom, 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 boom. Run across that area from about the 10 o'clock area towards the 2 o'clock area, which is where the tree knocking was coming from. Right. Didn't see anything. We just heard it. We had our backs to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think. Well, Jade's got a good point there. Anthropomorphization can slip in, especially signing motive. Absolutely. That's true. So, as a researcher, do your due diligence and report. Record the events as they happen. First, I heard a twig snap. Then I had a sighting of something moving in the brook.
And that's the reason why I believe the geolocate, because I've had that observation.
Yeah.
Where it was coming from over there. I was in between where it was and where I think it was. The other one was. I move out of the area, and next thing you know, something huge runs through the camp. Right. Behind us from the 10 o'clock to the 2 o'clock, and everybody moved out of the camp. So, that like I said, that is, then you go to an area like research area 1, where we don't get very many tree knocks.
Right.
Don't maybe a few here and there.
Right.
But none really. I may hear one every 5 years.
Right. That one encounter where John and myself were in prior to having the brush pile ordeal video, we heard a large crack, and it was not really a tree knock. I would consider it the sound of a large branch being broken.
Now, finding the trackway was there for that whoop we had. And that was the amazing thing. I'm sitting there yelling to them in the camp because I whistled a few times and I'm like, come on, fellas, you know who I am, you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then it was quiet for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden you're whoop,
Right.
and that's just the way I play. And when I get there, I do the same thing every time, so they know I'm there. If they know I'm there and I don't harm them, eventually they realize that I am not a threat. It's very similar to the way Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey had worked those areas. Is you got to work those areas, but you must not make yourself a threat. I don't mean you sit there with a gifting bowl and try it, because let's face it, I've seen gifting or baiting and whatever, where people are putting out melons and this and that. Oh, the melon was gone, and look away, it was over here, it was over there. Animals drag stuff all the time around. You put food on the floor, any kind of fauna can grab that, any kind. So I have to be very careful with that. You have to, and to have no evidence of what took it is really irritating. They don't put a trail camera up. Some of the people that do that, well, I don't want to put a trail camera up because it offends them. I don't want to put an audio recorder out there because they don't like being recorded.
Well, that's where it starts.
Now you know what? You know what they're doing? They're making excuses up so they can live in their fantasy world. They put the fruit out there, so little critters over the next night take all the good stuff, leave some stuff behind,
right.
And oh, it's gone. It's Bigfoot, right? And that's just living the fantasy, trying to support your own confirmation biases. And that's where you can't do. You got to have some way of recording what's taking that stuff.
Roker said distraction. I got here late.
Well, that's Well, no, that's what he meant by saying, is it a distraction? Again, I think that's assigning any motive can be anthropomorphic unless you have some direct evidence or observation of such. And what I've observed is that it's a way of them geolocating one another.
I think, I think it's sometimes it could be used. They use it.
Pay no attention to the obese.
Pay no attention to the obese.
Now, I'll give you a great example. Back in, I want to say it was early 2008. End of 2007, early 2008, I was investigating with my old friend who moved to Pennsylvania, Ted Petrosini. We were investigating a case in Catskill, New York, in the outskirts of Catskill, not the actual village, along the Catskill Creek, where this family had observed a large hairy biped on several occasions, and even the 4-year-old or 3-year-old little girl had seen it. And I talked to her, and she said, "What did you see out the window?" She said, "I saw a big monkey." That's how she described it, out the window. Where was it? It was right there. So what they were doing was they were getting bagels, these day-old bagels for free from this bakery. Right. Diana and her friends, and they were putting it out there, and the bagels would disappear every day. And I'm like, okay, I never thought Bigfoot would be a blueberry bagel eating Bigfoot, but we put a trail camera out there, and they hadn't seen it for a couple of weeks, but the food keeps disappearing. Huh. We put a trail camera up there, and we got the world's fattest raccoon on the stump eating the bagels. And he was friggin' fat.
Yeah, I was fixing to say that I don't think that the Bigfoot is very trusting with human food.
But here is the interesting thing. Along the roadside, about a couple 100 yards away, the roadside is lined up, and the roadside is very remote, mind you. You don't have too many cars go into that roadside. It actually runs along the Catskill Creek under the Thruway Bridge. Okay. So there's not many people that, and mind you, the Thruway Bridge is 400 feet up. So it's a very big ravine.
A secondary road, right? Not water.
This area is in a very big ravine between two mountain ridges. And it's lined with blackberries. Lined with, fresh berries.
Yeah.
And that night we happened to catch it. We were spotlighting. We heard something. We spotlight it. We see eye shine looking at us. And then we see this black shadow just bolt.
Yeah.
And we chased it and we lost it as it went under the bridge, under the, the overpass. Mind you, the bridge is way the hell up.
Right.
But it went under that, the abutment to the bridge, or went past the abutment to the bridge and gone. I mean, it was running way faster than we could have. Was it a Bigfoot? I don't know, but it had definite eye shine, and it bolted, and it was black, and it appeared to be bipedal. I'm not going to call it a Bigfoot because I did not see the whole entire form, right? But I call it one of my close encounter cases. And I was there along with 7 other people that all saw it, and we were all like, oh, shit.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think the blackberries is the what'll tell the tale there.
But you see, when humans start futzing around, guess what happened after that? Nothing.
Right.
Sightings just cooled off. It realized that people were on its trail. It wasn't used to interacting with it. Not like Research 1, where it took time to build and build and build, where I could be there. There was a period of time prior to all the sightings and all the, the vocalizations really started to come alive. Just prior to that, I was spending a lot of time up there. I was spending, 2 or 3 weekends a month up there. Right. So,
also, though, you got to keep in mind that when the blackberry briars fruit and they have the blackberries ripen, they don't last that long.
No.
So they have to be gotten during the certain period of time to where when they start turning black and they're ready for harvest.
Oh, and they were nice. We munched on some of those ourselves. Let's pick a few, and they were nice and sweet and everything. They were good.
Love a good blackberry cobbler, man. Oh, love it every year. Well, I didn't get one last year, but hopefully maybe this year we'll have a blackberry cobbler.
Well, Bill says what's odd is if you put creamy peanut butter out there, nothing touches it. You put crunchy peanut butter, it gets destroyed by all creatures. It doesn't seem so odd to me. Think about it from a perspective of the creature. It's not familiar with peanut butter, but it is familiar with nuts. Right? So they see nuts. Yeah. And the peanut butter, now they're like, no, the creamy around the peanut butter, these nuts are great. Right. Yeah. But without those nuts and visually seeing that or smelling that nut itself, they kind of like, I'm not sure what that is, because let's face it, peanut butter is processed. Right. Well, what you're doing is you're putting the addition of, and crunchy peanut butter, you're putting the addition of non-processed peanuts in that peanut butter. Yeah. So that's something to consider too.
It also makes you kind of wonder if they could smell those chemicals that were added in during the processing.
I don't know.
Preservative or something.
And again, we're talking about all creatures, and I think it's just it comes back to a familiarity.
Right.
Right. It understands what nuts are.
Yeah.
Right. Because they eat acorns and chestnuts and whatever, other, pine nuts and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Walnut.
But when it sees something that it doesn't recognize, that's not. Like, I'm sure you put a caramel apple up there. Oh boy, I know what an apple is. That's delicious, right?
Yeah.
So you always got to think in context of when you're baiting something, what is indigenous to the area. Again, I can't, suggest that enough. Is what is indigenous to that area, but you also got to create a station to bait it with in a way that prevents your smaller varmints from getting it. Now that's difficult because if you think about it, squirrels are very dynamic, fisher cats, mink, chipmunks, rodents, bears even. My favorite is the bear, walking the line to grab the food out of the hanging feeder.
Right.
That's hanging on this, 10-foot up clothesline.
Well, bears are certainly a problem if you live in an area with Bigfoot sightings that also has a population of bears. If you leave your bait out for the Bigfoot, guarantee you a bear is going to find it.
You might be attracting a bear. Now, I must say that in areas I've baited in my research area, and the bears are very scarce. They're there, but they're scarce. I've never been visited by a bear, knock wood, at the research area. In fact, we've only had a couple of deer visits at the research area. Only two
Right.
deer. And that says something too. Why are deer? Why we don't see any squirrels or deer, rabbits? The only animals that I've seen in research one is field mice,
Mhm.
and once we saw a fox. Twice we've seen deer.
Hmm.
So never a bear. I did see a Fisher cat once.
Mhm.
So you're looking at an area which there's not a lot of animals running around there.
Found the trackbait says, "Oh, you can smell peanut butter pretty far out." During survival cases, when they starve you, the second someone opens a tube of peanut butter, you know it. Yeah, that's true. And animals can smell peanut butter. I'm sure they could probably smell it a lot better than we can. Now, we had
Hey, I'm a New Yorker. My parents were from the Bronx, and I'm half Italian. If somebody opens up a pizza box 6 blocks away, I know it, and I'm there.
well, as an example, okay, and always in Kentucky. Now, I don't know about how it is where you live, but in Kentucky, in the fall of the year and the spring of the year, for some reason, the field mice want to come in. Okay, they want to come in the house. So we have, glue traps. We try to do it humanely. Of course, they're not allowed to be in the house. So when you get some in the house, of course, you got to set out your glue trap, humane, and a lot of times they just ignore them. They won't go near them, And I had walked in the kitchen one night and I saw a mouse on the counter, and he took off running. He's like, "Phew." Well, over in the corner, there were glue traps laying everywhere. Not a single mouse had touched it. So I took a little piece of peanut butter out of the jar and stuck it in the center of the glue trap where the trap is sticky. And I'll be dang, I turned the light off, went back to my room, and it wasn't 5 minutes I had a mouse. He had been drawn to the scent of that peanut butter
Sure.
and trapped himself.
Hey, before we go, I want to take Roker's question real quick.
Okay. Roker says, how many sightings actually have Bigfoot literally eating? I'm talking about chewing and swallowing. Otherwise, is just gathering sightings.
Now, that is a great question. I will say this, that there have been reports where people are unsure if they're eating or drinking or whatever. And I think it's because it's one of those details where you're just like so in awe that you're seeing what you're seeing. That sometimes that little detail and that to me actually solidifies that what they're seeing is something right. And there was a report, not a tenth of a mile from where the Vermont trail cam photo was taken years back, but a year before that trail cam picture was taken, there was a sighting report 9/10 of a mile there where there is this pond. And this relatively popular contractor left one morning to go to one of his jobs, and there is one biped beetle creature standing there, scooping, either pulling out weeds and eating the weeds, or it's drinking. He wasn't sure what it was doing, but it was bringing its hand up to its mouth with something. And he was driving and he saw it and he was like, holy shit, what did I just see? And he just kept on driving. So
weird. Bill, don't gorillas get their water from grooming?
No. They will get it off of vegetation a lot of times during rains.
Yeah.
And they will go to water supply. They will go to water sources too. I actually, in What Would Sasquatch Do, Volume 2, I actually have a picture of a gorilla wading in water. And it's walking like this. And it's wading through the water, keeping its hands right up. So, well, anyway, it is 10 o'clock. It's time for us to get out of here. Chris, do your thing.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you being with us on Wednesday night. It's not Sunday. It's Wednesday. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. It helps us out. Excuse me. And if you hadn't smashed that like button already, please do so on your way out. We appreciate you guys, and we know you're the best audience we could ever hope to have, and we're humbled to have you. Thank you so much.
Yep. And folks, on behalf, and I just did what Chris did, and on behalf of myself and Chris, we want to wish everybody, and thank you, Pat. Jen says, well, at least I made it. LOL. She just got in there. It's okay. You're working. That's a valid excuse. We want to wish everybody a happy, safe, healthy rest of the week for your last half of the week. We hope you've enjoyed Hump Day today and our Hump Day show, Hump Day. And we will see everybody Friday night, the TGIF Friday night show. And we will see everybody Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'm so glad we're back. I don't care what people say. I like daylight savings because you know what? I'm not coming home in the dark anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
The only complainers are the parents that got to go get up in the morning and it's dark because all their kids got to get on the bus and it's dark out. Yeah. Tough beans.
I grew up on the farm. It's normal for me.
Yep. Right. Everybody complains it gets dark so fast, but then, oh, yeah, I want to get rid of daylight savings. Yeah. Anyway. But anyway, folks, we'll see everybody Friday night. Everybody have a great night. God bless. Love you all. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you all in a couple of days.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.